There once was a time when having a cell phone was a luxury. Not to mention, it was only available for those who could afford it and would want to carry a phone around with them, such as a businessman. Nowadays, just about everyone has a cell phone, especially younger folk. And their phones are able to do things that we likely would have thought impossible just 2 decades previous. But one of its most useful features is also one that might just be its most dangerous. And not in the way you think. Allow us to show you why your phone location data is worth billions. Businesses getting your location. A location firm called Near labels itself the world's largest data set of people's behavior in the real world, featuring data consisting of 1.6 billion people across 44 countries. Another company called Xmode claims it has data representing 25% plus of the adult U.S. population monthly, whereas MobileWalla brags about its access to data from 40-plus countries, 1.9 billion plus devices, 50 billion mobile signals daily, and 5+ years of data. TNW's The Markup identified 47 different companies that collect, sell, or trade in the location data for mobile phones, according to the report. And this list begins to illustrate the situation of mass surveillance, an interconnected, collaborative group of companies that offer code to app developers, monetize user data, and sell analytics from 1.9 billion devices, enabling access to data sets from hundreds of millions of people. Just 6 of these companies hold data from more than 1 billion devices, and at least 4 other firms say their data is the most accurate in the industry. There isn't a lot of transparency, and there is a really complex, shadowy web of interactions between these companies that's hard to untangle, said cyber policy fellow Justin Sherman at the Duke Tech Policy Lab in the TNW report. They operate on the fact that the general public and people in Washington and other regulatory centers aren't paying attention to what they're doing. And sometimes the industry is exceedingly invasive. A 2020 report from Motherhood showed how Xmode, which gathers location data via apps, was collecting data specifically from Muslim prayer apps, and then selling them to military contractors. That same year, the Wall Street Journal reported how Ventel, which provides location data, sold location data to federal agencies for the purpose of immigration enforcement. The list goes on. Apps transmitting your data. A multitude of firms say privacy is of primary concern, emphasizing that they take great care to never sell information that could reveal the identity of a person. But this can be misleading, as recent anonymized location data studies have shown. The hard fact of modern life is there's no clear way to know the ways your movements are tracked, traded, and monetized. Companies typically don't announce which apps supply collected data, or what kind of data they grab, where it goes, or when. Building an image of the new information ecosystem, TNW's The Markup reviewed the marketing language of the 47 companies and traced how the data from your phone enters and moves through the information ecosystem. The personal phone to monetize data pipeline starts in our hands when you get a notification that asks for your permission to access location data. This isn't entirely suspect, since apps about weather, wind, or maps can't really perform their function without knowing where you are. But some of these apps sell and share that location data to companies that analyze and use it for profit. Advan Research does this, but others like AdSquare buy or trade their way into possession of the data from various apps to aggregate it with other sources. For many apps that ask for location, it's easy for users to opt out and avoid the risk. But even the apps that feel most essential and benign could be sources for these companies who don't share their sources to maintain a competitive advantage. Time will tell how our location data is used in the coming years, and whether new laws might prohibit this increasingly high-tech market that's at once everywhere and nowhere. Market apps giving away locations. The most common way these companies get your data is via you, the user. Often, you start the location data pipeline when you allow an app to access your location data. Of course, not all apps use your location data for malicious purposes. For instance, Google Maps needs to know where you are to give you the right direction towards your destination. Your food delivery app needs to know your location so they can deliver you your food. The same goes for weather apps or how a video streaming service needs to know where you are located to ensure a license to stream certain shows in your nation or state. But we can't be sure which of these apps would end up selling your location data to companies that analyze your data and sell your insights. For instance, companies like Advan Research or AdSquare purchase or gather location data from applications to aggregate it with other data sources. Then, real estate companies or businesses related to retail or hedge funds may use the data for their advertising, investment strategizing, analytics, or any other marketing purpose. When an app asks for location, there is usually never a disclosure that states the data would be limited to a certain purpose, stated Serge Egelman, a researcher at UC Berkeley's International Computer Science Institute and App Census CTO. According to the markup, they asked a spokesperson from all 47 companies on their list where they obtained the location data. Companies like Cubic and AdSquare told the markup that they don't disclose what apps they publicly obtain location data for a competitive advantage. However, they stated that their process of getting location data was transparent and with users' consent. It is worth highlighting here that most users don't read privacy policies. The CEO of a location analytics firm, Advan Research, Giannis Tisouliounis, stated his companies purchase it from location data aggregators who collect the data from thousands of apps. But again, he also didn't disclose which ones. There is only one company, Foursquare, whose spokesperson, Ashley Dawkins, named any specific apps. Foursquare's own products like Rewards, City Guide, and Swarm as a source of its location data trove. Notably, Foursquare also makes a free SDK software development kit, a set of pre-built tools developers can use to create their apps. There are chances to track the location of users via any apps that use the kit. According to Foursquare, its Pilgrim SDK is used in multiple apps, including GasBuddy, Flip, and Checkout 51. There has been no response from GasBuddy, Flip, and Checkout 51 to requests from the markup. However, they have disclosed in their privacy policies that they share location information with the company. As per a search of Mighty Signal, a platform that tracks and analyzes SDKs and apps, Foursquare's Pilgrim SDK is in 26 Android apps. The way Foursquare obtains location data via an embedded SDK is a common practice in the industry. Out of the 47 companies identified by the markup, at least 12 advertised SDKs to app developers that can send them location data for services or monetary benefits. Placer.ai claims that it does foot traffic analysis in its marketing, and its SDK is installed in over 500 apps with insights on over 20 million devices. So, as you can see, this is a very big issue, and one that raises a lot of questions about what you should do and whom you should trust when it comes to dealing with apps. Invasion of privacy. The question of laws here is one that is rather interesting because, obviously, this isn't fully illegal, for if it was, it would have been stopped tout suite. But instead, companies of all levels and industries are able to see your location data and then share it around. But how is that fair? More than likely, they're using logic, such as that it's not wrong to know where you are at certain times because there are plenty of people who know where you are at any given moment. And thus, it's not harmful to share things around when it's for business purposes. The problem with that is that this technically means that people can find out when you're not in your standard places or not at home, and thus can go and be robbed. Location data is worth billions because it could lead to protect buying, yes, but it could also lead to billions lost if the wrong person gets it. And that's something for everyone to think very carefully about. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at your phone data and how it might honestly be giving someone else a lot of money because of you not realizing that it's giving out your location? Does this make you a bit more wary of your phone and what it can do? Do you think that there are some serious privacy issues going on here? Let us know in the comments below. And we'll see you next time on the channel.